Hello, today I'm going to be showing you guys how I make my stickers and how I take my traditional line art and turn it into digital line art. So Paint Tool SAI is really nice because it's not as complicated as Photoshop. Unfortunately, it also doesn't have a lot of functions. One of the functions it's missing is recognizing line art. If I were to create a new file, move it underneath, Paint Tool SAI doesn't see it. You don't see it show up because it sees this bluish color background and this line art as all one solid image. So in order to differentiate the two, here's how you do it. Go over to this little tool called the Magic Wand. It almost looks like a ball on a stick that's glowing. I guess that's sort of Magic Wandish. You don't need any new layers. So you can either also make sure that your setting is on color difference rather than transparency, because again, Paint Tool SAI sees this is all one solid image. So if you go to color difference, it's going to recognize the difference between the light background color and the dark line art color. The higher this number is, the less sensitive it's going to be. But if you put it too low, it's going to miss some of the outer edges and it's going to make your line art look a little rough. So it's good to find a good balance. Since my line art's a little rough anyway because it's made with a brush, it doesn't matter if I'm too super specific. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and just highlight all of the things that I want to keep. If this ever happens, oh no, it's not doing it. But if you ever get big blotchy sections, you can just turn the color difference down because it means that it's not recognizing the difference between whatever color you clicked on and the background color that we're trying to get rid of. So I've highlighted just about everything I think I want to keep. So now we're going to go back over here and click on this lasso tool. It's going to select everything that was just blue and turn blue from the lasso or from the Magic Wand tool. So we now have a pretty good idea of what our line art's going to look like. You can do two things here. You can either copy it, I'll press Ctrl+C, and now you can see we've got just our line art. There is a slight sort of leftovers of where the line art came from, but we can erase those pretty easily. So, not a huge fan of that method. What I do instead there we go. Instead of doing that, because you can have those little leftover remnant edges, as I press this tool up here called Invert Selection, and it basically just inverts whatever you have cropped or highlighted with the lasso tool. So instead of having the line art highlighted like it is right now, when I press this, I now have the background highlighted. Oh, that's spooky looking. So I'm going to go to my eraser tool, make it as big as humanly possible. Let's make sure these layers are all lined up. There we go. So again, it's the invert selection, eraser, big as humanly possible, and we're going to just erase everything. Everything we don't need. Okay, and now to get rid of these lines, click on either the selection tool or the lasso tool and click outside of your image. You now have your line art. And just to show you what we're talking about, when we now put a layer underneath it, there we go. Paint Tool SAI now recognizes that this is lines, this is line art, and it can be colored underneath. If you decide you want to change the color of your line art, create a new layer, leave it on top. We're going to set it to screen. And you can pick whatever color you'd like, just so you can see it. I'll pick this sort of red color. We'll click color. Set it again, once again, very big. And color over the top. And because we decided to set to screen, it's only appearing where there's color right now. If we set it back to normal, it's just our red blob. You can play around with these too. There's some cool effects. But for now, I'll leave it as screen. Another thing you can do, let's say we want this color underneath to be blue. Well, it's not showing up right now because we have this screen layer on top. In order to avoid that, press this little box right here that says clipping group. There we go. What clipping group does, and you'll know it's on when you have this little red line, clipping group keeps whatever layer is here attached to the layer that's underneath it. Because the red was a blob, set it to screen, it'll attach itself to the image, but it also attaches itself to everything else that's underneath. Any layer that you put underneath that image, it's now attached to that also. When you set clipping group, it's attached to only the image that's set underneath it, only one. So you can play around with anything underneath. We'll add some yellow in just for kicks. And you can see that now too. Here I can show you my finished project. This is my ultimate final Marceline sticker after playing around with everything, and I'll slowly take the layers off so you can kind of see. There we go. It's the same line art that I had right over here. I did it exactly the same way, and then change the color. And added in my watercolor effects over the top. So there you go, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment box below. Have an awesome day.